Okay, now that I've kind of got you all convinced that you can only use the DOT template, we're going to do a pipe work here, and we're going to do that by beginning in a standard, more standard template that you all know how to use by doing File, New. Remember that? AutoCAD Civil 3D Imperial. Now we do this mostly because I don't think the DOT completely has all their storm stuff together, but it's my expectation that if they don't have it together already, they're going to have it together soon. So we started a project here. You remember all those layers that we had, but now we're going to do an import, an insert of a land XML, or you could do data shortcuts of your project that you've pushed out. So you probably would push out the existing surface and then the corridor surface that you've got designed, and probably your corridor as well with your alignment and your vertical alignment. So I'm going to hit that land XML, December 24th. It's going to come in. We're going to see whether it brings all that stuff in. We hit an OK there. And we now have, basically, you see it brought everything in that we needed to, along with contours, and kind of looks beautiful if you would. And what I'm going to do now is just going to go ahead as usual. I'm going to go back to home here, and I don't really need to see those surfaces. And so I'm going to typically go to tool space here and take that surface, right? And I'm going to really make them so you can't see them in the short term. No display, and even here in the cul-de-sac surface, which came in, surface properties, no display. Now, using the pipe network stuff is pretty straightforward. All I'm going to do is, I don't really know, looking at the profile, where the positives, where the low points are. I'm just going to kind of draft in a pipe just to get the general idea. You would identify your low points, and you would identify your high points, and you would then start, like we talked about just a couple minutes ago, the previous video. You put a double set of inlets, in other words, a double on either side of the road at all of your low points, and then you go up from there no more than 300 feet. So let's just assume we're going to drain this out of the end of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draft these in lines, like you know how, put them together in a polyline, and then finish it out. So let's assume we have a line from near there. Remember, you got to be aware of 3D stuff, so I'm going to go from there, and I'm just going to, for now, say at 300 angle 180. I'm sorry, 270. So you can put these in however you know how, and now you can kind of, as you've learned to do before, we're going to go ahead and not take it down the line. I'm going to take it here. We're going to go there. Maybe we'll place it right there. We've got one pipe. Generally, they would go all down the one side of the street, but I'm going to take these back and forth. Let's assume that you had some issue. You had to come back across the street in a shorter pipe, zooming in and out, coming down to there. Let's say you had to go back then across the street, and then maybe you tie it in right over here to some other pipe. Now what you've got, I put those on layer 0, not a good habit, but we're going to zoom in now and do a polyline edit on those. P-edit. Yes, and join. So you've kind of drafted out your main alignment for the pipes. This should look very similar to those of you who already drafted a roadway. We almost always think in tangents. In this case, the pipe actually is going to be all tangent sections. It usually is. You don't really have much curvature in most pipes. You've put something together. Now, once you do that, the pipe network thing is pretty straightforward. It's almost scary how straightforward it is. So we're going to take right now, and we're going to go to create pipe network from object. We grab that. It's going in the right direction. We hit OK. It's going to create your pipe network. Now, this pipe network, you're going to see, you're going to have all kinds of different pipes, but you really want to think pretty early about, starting with something logical. The 15-inch would be the start, and you're going to change it as you go down. You'd like it to be a surface. In this case, maybe the cul-de-sac surface 3, and the alignment, it should be tied to some of that centerline alignment. Structures are going to vary from one to the other. There are actually storm structures and concrete and sanitary structures, but one is as good as the other. You look for something here. The null structure wouldn't be a bad one if you want a concentric concrete, so typically 48-inch with a cone. It's going to vary greatly based on the size of your pipes that go in. Hit OK. Does all the calculation, and now you have on here all these pipes. And so you can then go in and click on any particular pipe, go to your pipe properties, and it lists all kinds of data that are on that. Now that doesn't really do you much good looking at here, so we're going to go now and take you out. Hopefully there is a profile out here. If we go zoom E, there's not a profile, so you're going to need to bring in a profile view. If you look at this one here, you brought in an alignment, but it didn't bring in any profile views, the alignments here. It didn't appear to bring in any alignments when we brought in those centerline alignments. Yes, it is. There it is, your centerline profile views, right? You can refresh that. Profiles, we've got all kinds of different profiles. So let's see if we can get this drafted in a profile view. That's going to be a kind of key thing. So I'm going to pause this till I figure out where my profile view is. I'm going to hit a pause here and then be right back in a second. Okay, we figured out how this works more or less, and so I'm going to take you back here and to show you that you got in this, once you have your pipe network defined, I'm going to go, zoom extents. You've got your pipe network defined, right? You've got some pipes in there. If you click on any particular one pipe, you're going to, you can go ahead and look at the pipe properties. If you look at, the pipe properties there with grade and the like, if you click on any particular structure, you can get the structure properties and all kinds of information about the structure. And realistically, the last part of this is you've just designed the drainage major pipes, which you also are going to need to grab inlets and the like. And so how you go about doing that is you go through here and you drew We'll go ahead and change some of the settings here, which I'm not going to find at the moment. Network properties here. You've got your network properties you can adjust. Kind of shows you some of the settings that are laid in there. If you click on here, you realize it's going to click you right away, edit the pipe network. In this pipe network here, edit pipe network, gives you the ability to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and put in a structure. Here's your choices of structures. Kind of things you might want to have is a rectangular, all kinds of different structures there. And if I do that, I'm going to specify the insertion point. It's going to put that there, even though that's a sanitary. I'll kind of go with that. And then what you can do is you can turn this now to be pipes only. And then you're going to go ahead and maybe put in a 15-inch pipe, which would be your typical inlet, and it's going to show you a general place to a general place, and it will put that in for you. And so you notice there that you can kind of design in all of your pipes and then play around with the data in another area in a second. So once you've got this done, you can go back now and go ahead and create a profile view. Right? You remember that station range from there. The view height, we want this to be a lot lower. Maybe we'll go with 960.00. This doesn't take. You're going to notice here you've got something there you can set. You can tell it to put in the network, the pipe network, or else you can do it later. Go through all these different bits back to that profile view height, 960. You're going to create a profile view, 1000 elevation. Station 960, 0. Zoom center 1000, 960, 0. And there is your piping. Somehow things got up. Zoom center 1000, 960, 0, 100. Hopefully our pipe will be there. Let's see. And you can see the pipe network drafted in right along with the rest of it. So that's how you're going to go about. We'll have to play around with this adjustment when you go back, but that's how to do pipe networks as quick as it can be done.